This afternoon to meet famed pastor Joel Osteen, who's in town this weekend promoting his new book and also holding 2 sold-out events at the Forum in Inglewood.
Joel Osteen, a well-known author and the senior pastor of Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas, which is the largest church in the United States, has spent decades teaching and spreading messages of hope and inspiration to millions of people all over the world throughout his ministry. The most recent heartbreaking news, on the other hand, is now putting his own faith to the test in the face of an unimaginable catastrophic event. You are curious to know what the news that breaks your heart is. Have a watchful eye. Starting out in life, Joel Osteen is one of the most prominent figures in the world. He is well known for his weekly television services, as well as his several books that have been tremendously successful. Let us discuss Osteen's early life and the path that led him to become one of the most famous Christian leaders of the century, before we move on to the examination of the recent heartbreaking news that he has received. Keep an eye out. It was in 1963 that Joel Osteen was born. She is the 6th child of John Osteen and Dolores Pilgrim, and she was born in Houston. Osteen is one of the 6 children. His father, John Osteen, had been a Southern Baptist pastor who had been ordained, but in 1958 he severed his ties with the Baptists. The following year, he established the Lakewood Church as an independent, non-denominational church in Northeast Houston, Texas, out of a feed store that had been abandoned. In 1981, Joel received his diploma from Humble High School, which is a public high school located in the city of Humble, Texas. He then went on to study radio and television communications at Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but he did not graduate from the university. He was the producer of Lakewood's television ministry from 1982 until 1999. His tenure lasted until 1999. Joel was the last person anyone anticipated would follow in his father's footsteps, despite the fact that he is now a prominent worldwide figure. Joel Osteen, the most reserved of the Osteen siblings and in-laws, was more confident in expanding Lakewood's audience through the lens of a camera than the other members of the Osteen family, who were preaching and participating to the audience on stage. He was in charge of the church's media department for 16 years, during which time he was responsible for everything from directing the cameramen to perfecting the lighting. Every Saturday, Joel would go to his father's house to assist him in selecting what he would wear for the service that would take place the following day. He would keep a yellow-lined paper that recorded each week's attire as well as the date. The sermons that were going to be broadcast were edited by him personally, and he gave his father instructions on when to turn around and look at the camera in order to get the perfect shot to punctuate the moment. The year 2013 saw Joel give an interview to HuffPost, in which he admitted that he had the impression that he never had the capacity to stand in front of the congregation and deliver a sermon. Throughout his life, his father had asked him hundreds of times, but he did not agree to fill in until his father was undergoing dialysis or another form of treatment. A little over a week after Joel had his first experience ministering, his father passed away, leaving him with a purpose that will last for the rest of his life. It had been a few days since he had passed away. Following the initial shock of that, I felt the same desire to take the initiative and speak in front of the church. According to what he shared with the publication, it was not really logical. I hadn't attended any kind of seminary. The only time I had ever ministered was now. I never imagined that the ministry would grow to the extent that it has. But here we are today, 14 years later, Joel said in an interview. When it comes to the Lakewood Church, Joel Osteen serves as the senior pastor. Osteen assumed the role of head pastor following the passing of his father in the year 1999. Lakewood quickly became the largest and most rapidly expanding congregation in the United States while he was serving as its leader. The church's media presence was rapidly expanded by him through the purchase of advertisements on billboards and in other venues, the doubling of the church's budget for television airtime, the negotiation with various networks for optimal time slots, and the targeting of the largest media markets. Over the course of a few years, his weekly television broadcast eventually became the most popular and highly rated inspirational program on the air, reaching households in more than 100 countries. As a writer, he achieved widespread success with his book, Your Best Life Now: 7 Steps to Living at Your Full Potential, which was published in 2004. Osteen went on a tour of the United States in 2005, during which he visited 15 cities and preached to large crowds at virtually every stop. In the same year, the Lakewood Church opened a brand new megachurch in Houston's Compact Center, which had previously served as a basketball and hockey arena. The church seats 16,000 people. In 1999, Lakewood had a weekly attendance of 6,000 people, but by 2016, that number had increased to more than 50,000. On top of that, by the year 2018, the televised services had attracted an estimated 10 million viewers each and every week. During this time period, Joel published a number of books, some of which include How to Become a Better You and 7 Keys to Improving Your Life Every Day. Joel Osteen was ranked as the most influential Christian in the United States, surpassing other prominent Christian figures such as Billy Graham, according to the issue of the Church Report that was published in January of 2007. When compared to John's method of preaching, Joel remembers being concerned that the congregation at Lakewood would not appreciate his approach to the sermon. Osteen claims that he was more temperamental than I was. He was brought up in the Southern Baptist faith. It does not conform to the norm. According to Joel, he spent the first half of 1999 attempting to imitate his father's style. However, after some time had passed, he came to the realization that he could create a new path, his own path. According to him, this transpired after he read Acts 13 verse 36, which describes Joel Osteen's method of instruction. Osteen, who is known for his affable and youthful appearance, is known as the smiling preacher. In his sermons, Osteen typically steers clear of theological concepts that are overly complex or conventional. On the other hand, he conveyed straightforward and optimistic messages that emphasized his frequently reiterated conviction that God desires for us to have a better life. Despite the fact that this strategy was well received by the general public, it was also met with severe criticism from individuals who considered Osteen to be nothing more than a motivational speaker who presented a watered-down interpretation of Christianity. Those who disagreed with him accused him of spreading a prosperity gospel that was intended to justify the accumulation of wealth. It has been asserted by those who are opposed to the prosperity gospel within the Protestant and Roman Catholic Christian communities that the transactional model of the gospel and its emphasis on material wealth are significant distortions of the Christian faith. Concerns have been raised by critics from both the religious and secular communities regarding the teaching's potential to exploit the financially disadvantaged and emotionally vulnerable, as well as accuse individuals of being responsible for their own misfortunes due to their lack of faith. In addition to Joel's words and teachings, the lifestyle that he and his wife lead, as well as Joel Osteen's personal life, are frequently subjected to scrutiny. In addition to being married to Joel Osteen, a well-known televangelist, Victoria Osteen has been married to him for 3 decades. According to a report by the Netline, the story goes that Joel first met Victoria when he went to the jewelry store owned by her mother in order to buy a watch battery. Reportedly, the two began dating not long after they had their initial encounter with one another. After a period of 2 years, on April 4, 1987, the couple tied the knot. Jonathan Osteen and Alexandra Osteen are the 2 children that Joel and Victoria possess together. After being accused of physically assaulting a flight attendant in 2008, the high-profile co-pastor's reputation took a significant hit, which damaged her reputation significantly. This information comes from NBC News, which reports that Continental Airlines' Sharon Brown filed a lawsuit against the couple after the alleged incident occurred on a flight from Texas to Colorado in the year 2005. Brown asserted that Victoria, who was seated in first class alongside her husband Joel, verbally and physically abused her and another flight attendant whenever they failed to clean up a spill that occurred on her armrest in a timely manner. Brown, who asserted that she maintained her polite demeanor throughout the ordeal, asserted that Victoria threw her against a bathroom door and elbowed her in the left breast before possibly attempting to enter the cockpit. Brown added that Victoria allegedly attempted to enter the cockpit. In light of this, Brown demanded 10% of Victoria's estimated net worth of $100 million as punitive damages. What, however, took place in reality? Apparently, it was taken to court, as reported by the New York Times. Due to the fact that no one disputed the fact, it appears that an argument did in fact take place. Because of the disagreement, the flight was delayed, and the Osteens were required to be escorted off the aircraft because of the delay. A witness also suggested that Victoria was dismissive of the two flight attendants due to the fact that they were black. However, both Victoria and Joel testified that there was no physical assault. Victoria was found to be innocent after only 2 hours of deliberation. However, she was ordered to pay a fine of $3,000. In recent times, Pastor Joel Osteen has been in possession of shocking and heartbreaking information regarding an incident that took place at his church. What exactly happened and why? Continue watching as we delve deeper into the specifics. The heartbreaking shooting incident at the Lakewood Church. On February 11, 2024, witnesses at Lakewood Church stated that they heard multiple shots fired around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which was the start time of the Spanish language services. The woman who carried out the shooting, who has not been identified, stated that she had a bomb in her backpack. However, the bomb was not discovered. Additionally, it was alleged that she sprayed a substance of some kind onto the ground and then shot a man who was 47 years old in the leg, causing him to sustain injuries. After the shooter pointed an AR-15 at the two off-duty officers who were serving as security at the church, the shooter was killed by the officers working there. In the exchange of gunfire, the shooter's son, who was 7 years old at the time, was also shot. The Texas Children's Hospital received the child, who was in critical condition, and transported there. The entirety of the occurrence took place in less than 5 minutes. Reported incidents of a second shooter caused residents of Houston to experience a sense of unease, which prompted the police to evacuate businesses located in the commercial district. Confirmation from the police indicated that there was no second shooter. The child, who was 7 years old at the time, had a portion of the frontal lobe of his brain surgically removed, and the injured man, who was 47 years old, was discharged from the hospital by the calendar day of February 12th. Genesee Yvonne Moreno, who is 36 years old, was identified as the shooter by the police the following day, making the identification official. An individual with a criminal record and documented mental health issues, Moreno was brought up in the city of Conroe in the state of Texas. Her ex-mother-in-law, Carranza, told her that she suffered from schizophrenia, which was the root cause of her violent behavior. She also asserted that what had been required for a number of years was a coordinated response from law enforcement and mental health professionals. The shooting did not appear to have any apparent motivation behind it. Moreno's AR rifle, on the other hand, was found to have a Palestine sticker on it, and the police later claimed that anti-Semitic writings had been found on the weapon. As a response to the shooting incident, the Lakewood Church requested that individuals pray for the community of Lakewood and each individual within it. The pastor of the church, Joel, expressed his dismay at the news by saying, "Of course, we are devastated. These occurrences are beyond our comprehension for some reason. The young boy, the lady who has passed away, and the other gentleman are going to be the focal points of our prayers. We are going to maintain our strength and proceed with our forward movement." Osteen shared the news that his church community was in utter disarray with his 10 million followers on the social media platform X. Osteen has been thrust to the forefront of a national conversation about faith, resiliency, and the power of community as a result of this devastating event. Furthermore, the incident has led to an increase in the scandalous scrutiny that surrounds him. Remember to stay tuned as we investigate some of these contentious issues. An overview of the controversies surrounding Joel Osteen. As a pastor, Joel Osteen has refrained from preaching on highly contentious topics such as homosexual marriage, abortion, and politics. Nevertheless, his career has not been devoid of controversy at any point in time. Joel has frequently been concerned about making a statement on the subject of same-sex marriage, despite the fact that he has avoided commenting on the issue. He has stated that he believes the church has a tendency to become overly focused on single issues, such as homosexuality, to the point where it neglects other issues. He has also stated that he has gone on record saying that homosexuality is not God's best. Osteen responded to a question about whether or not he believed that God gave his blessing to homosexuality by stating that, according to his interpretation of the Bible, homosexuality is a sin. However, he also stated that gay people are welcome in his church without being judged. The fact that Osteen has not provided his followers with clear biblical guidance on homosexuality has resulted in confusion and criticism among those who follow him. It has been argued by some that Joel does not confront the inherent tensions that exist between the teachings of the Bible and the values of modern society. Additionally, there are critics who believe that his rhetoric of welcoming is insufficient because it does not provide complete affirmation and support. Individuals who are marginalized are left uncertain about their place within the church as a result of his reluctance to explicitly endorse LGBTQ relationships and marriage equality. This uncertainty can lead to feelings of exclusion and lack of confidence in oneself. It is the contention of conservative Christians that Osteen's softer stance undermines traditional Christian values and compromises the authority of the Bible. The fact that he minimizes the biblical condemnation of homosexuality gives the impression that he places a higher value on cultural relevance than he does on scriptural fidelity. This is not the only contentious information that has been circulating about the preacher who never stops smiling. Maintain your attention as we investigate yet another, this time focusing on his wife, Victoria Osteen. As a result of Victoria Osteen, the wife of Joel, telling her church congregation in 2014 that Christianity is about pursuing one's own happiness and suggesting that people should obey God because doing so will make them happy, she received severe rebukes and criticism from other Christians. Victoria continued by saying that when you go to church and worship Him, you are not really doing it for God. Her husband, Joel Osteen, was standing next to her as she made this statement. It is for your own benefit because you are doing it because that is what brings joy to God. The comments made by Victoria Osteen were criticized by a number of Christian writers, including Matt Moore, a columnist for the Christian Post, who titled his piece, Victoria Osteen and Her Joy-Robbing Brand of Cheap Christianity. Walsh made the observation that, in accordance with the teachings of Christianity, Victoria's remarks are not only blasphemous, but also heretical and considered to be vulgar abominations. He argued that her viewpoint, which is that you should act virtuously for your own sake because it brings you happiness, is founded on the idolatry of the self and reveals a pagan attitude that places the self as the highest and most important good. The view that one ought to act virtuously for one's own sake because it brings happiness is one that is categorically rejected by the Christian denomination, according to Walsh. In addition to pointing out that the concepts of sin, duty, and obedience are at the core of Christianity, he also mentioned that Christianity is a faith that is characterized by its warriors and martyrs. Additionally, Albert Mohler Jr., who serves as the president of Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, brought up the fact that Victoria's viewpoint is considered heretical in accordance with Christian doctrine. He made the observation that followers of Christ are not promised possessions of earthly wealth or the gift of health, and that the primary concern in Christianity is not the attainment of personal happiness, but rather the triumph over sin. Christian News Network characterized the sermon as being representative of a church that is focused on the individual. The statement that Mormons are Christians was made by Joel during an appearance on Piers Morgan Tonight on CNN in the year 2011. Both Mormon scholars and evangelical Christians have expressed their disagreement with this comment, which has sparked widespread debate and criticism. According to Osteen's assertion, I am of the opinion that Mormons are Christians. I don't believe that it is that significant of a problem. The phrase, "we are all trying to find the same God," was met with criticism and outrage from the general public. A number of prominent evangelical leaders, including John MacArthur and Albert Mohler, have voiced their disapproval of the statement made by Osteen. It was their contention that the distinctive theological characteristics of Mormonism cannot be reconciled with those of traditional Christianity. In response to Joel's statement, others rebuked him, arguing that it undermines the authority of the Bible, which is the foundation of Christian doctrine. During the pandemic of the coronavirus in the year 2020, Joel was subjected to criticism for accepting $4.4 million in public-private partnership (PPP) funding for his church. The church stated that the funds were intended to preserve approximately 370 jobs. An inventory of these positions, on the other hand, was not verified. Despite the fact that Osteen denied receiving any assistance from the Pandemic CARES Act, the data provided by the United States Small Business Administration revealed that his church did, in fact, receive the amount of $4.4 million from the fund. The fact that Joel Osteen did not assist those who were affected by Hurricane Harvey through the Lakewood Church in Houston was another reason why he was criticized on his various social media platforms. The state of Texas was utterly annihilated by Hurricane Harvey in 2017. Many places of worship opened their doors to people who were experiencing homelessness as a result of the hurricane. This was done so that these individuals could have some sense of normalcy during the extremely difficult time. Thousands of people were displaced as a result of the hurricane. A megachurch in Osteen called Lakewood, which has a capacity of 16,000 people, made the decision not to assist those who were displaced until they were harassed about it on social media. In addition, representatives from Lakewood stated that the church was also experiencing damage, which was the reason why it had not been open to the public previously. This assertion was refuted by Osteen himself, who stated that the church would remain open even when other shelters were at capacity. On the 28th of August, the Lakewood Church was finally open to the public as a shelter for the night. One more contentious issue concerns Joel's extravagant way of life and the rumors that he owns a private jet carrier. Keep an eye out. In the midst of the rumors that are circulating and the scrutiny that is being directed towards the lifestyles of public figures, the ownership of a private jet by Joel Osteen has been a subject of significant debate. A prominent televangelist, Joel's life is frequently scrutinized, and many people are curious about the means by which he finances his personal transportation. This is because Joel's life is frequently under the microscope. Joel Osteen's use of a private jet has been the subject of controversy, despite the fact that the Lakewood Church, where he serves as a senior pastor, has not issued official statements that confirm these particulars. Those who are opposed to it argue that it exemplifies a lavish way of life that is incompatible with the Christian teachings that emphasize humility and community service. On the other hand, those who are in favor of him argue that the jet is essential for his extensive travel schedule and that it enables him to communicate with people all over the world. As a result of this rumored jet ownership, Joel has recently received criticism from the general public. Joel Osteen has recently been subjected to criticism on social media following a post he made regarding the significance of the uncomplicated aspects of life. It is the straightforward aspects of life that bring us the greatest happiness, as stated by Osteen in a post she made on X. Although you might not have a lot of resources, the fact that you have family is a blessing in disguise. The fact that you are healthy is a significant blessing. You are extremely fortunate if you are able to gaze up at the stars at night. Others pointed to his wealth and accused him of being greedy and hypocritical, despite the fact that his post received more than 5,000 likes and some comments of support. A number of users pointed out the irony of his message, considering his enormous wealth, which includes mansions worth multiple millions of dollars and expensive automobiles, such as a Ferrari that costs $350 million. As a result of this incident, he was subjected to widespread criticism on social media, where individuals accused him of being incapable of understanding the challenges faced by average people. In response to the post that Osteen had made, a former user posted pictures that allegedly depicted Osteen's mansions and wrote, "The simple things in life give me a goddamn break." In response, Joel Osteen stated that he is not giving his haters the time of day, and that his faith and positivity prevent him from paying attention to the negative opinions of others. The home that Joel and Victoria, a couple, reside in is located in River Oaks and has an estimated value of more than $12 million. There are a variety of sources from which Joel Osteen has accumulated his wealth, making him one of the wealthiest pastors in the world. It is interesting to note that Joel Osteen does not accept the salary of $200,000 that he could receive if he were to become a pastor of a church. Consequently, if you were curious about Joel Osteen's salary, you now know the answer. He does not receive any compensation. Through book sales, endorsement deals, and appearances in the media, he has amassed millions of dollars in earnings. And he has also made significant investments in real estate. Through the many Christian-oriented endeavors that they have undertaken, Joel Osteen and his wife, Victoria Osteen, have amassed an astounding net worth that is estimated to be about $100 million. In his capacity as senior pastor at the expansive Lakewood megachurch in Houston, Texas, Joel is responsible for leading services that are attended by more than 45,000 individuals on a weekly basis. Together with her husband, Victoria, who is essentially the first lady of the church, serves as a co-pastor. However, the ministry of the couple is not the only thing on their resume. They are known to regularly interact with celebrities such as Kanye West and have written a number of books by themselves. Through his rise to prominence as a pastor and televangelist, Joel Osteen demonstrates the influence that the media can have on religious influence. This is despite the fact that he came from a humble background and did not receive any formal theological training. In spite of the fact that he did not have a formal degree and had very little experience when he became a pastor, Joel Osteen was able to hone his preaching skills by observing his father over the course of his career. His current position is that of a leader in the prosperity gospel, which is based on the belief that God desires for his followers to be prosperous and healthy. What started out as a humble church in a feed store that had been abandoned in 1959 has since grown to become a landmark in Houston, Texas. A further point that is brought to light by Osteen's journey is the significance of positive thinking and motivational messaging in terms of connecting with an audience. You should click the next video that appears on your screen, as well as like and subscribe to this video if you found it entertaining.